Welcome to the Warsquared Fantasy Football Podcast, a full-service year-round podcast with weekly episodes to provide fans with info on their teams and players. Whether you're a newbie or a longtime veteran of the fantasy wars, Warsquared is the podcast for you. And welcome back into the Warsquared Fantasy Football Podcast. We are back. We are in the throes of March Madness. Tobin is back. Doc and I have been here. But we will have a bunch of news here. I'm not sure where to begin, so we'll start at the top. Lamar, still available. I say look out. If he does not get the deal he wants, he could be a poster child for the union. DeMaurice Smith put out a big number on the collusion between owners and not offering guaranteed contracts. Lamar,
hold on. Where does it say they have to offer guaranteed contracts?
It doesn't say they have to. It says that the rest of sports has went to guaranteed contracts.
No. Major League Baseball contracts are not guaranteed by contract, standard language contract. It is something that is added by the agents to guarantee them going forward. It is not part of the collective bargaining agreement between Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball Players Association.
Correct. But Major League Baseball is not out there throwing a fit saying, no, we're not going to do this, or castigating its fellow members when they offer these guaranteed contracts like they did to Jimmy Haslam when he gave Deshaun Watson the guaranteed contract.
Can you spell that word?
Castigating. Castigating.
Wow.
He even knows what it means.
All right. Can I get a country of origin?
I'm like, one of the things that's impressed me a lot about Tommy over the last 2.5 years of doing this is the man can spell.
Wow.
Doesn't look like it, but he can.
No, I do not look like I'm very intelligent at all.
That's a whole nother show. No, we don't have time for that, guys.
Let's
That's
go
a
back
whole
to the
other
Lamar
show.
Jackson thing. So there's no guarantee there's nothing in the contracts that they have to give guaranteed contracts.
Right.
So how are they colluding on not giving guaranteed contracts when the history of the NFL, there's only been maybe 2 or 3 of them given?
There's 2. There's been the Kirk Cousins contract and then the Deshaun Watson
I
contract.
couldn't remember whether Kirk Cousins got his first contract was guaranteed with the Vikings like his second one was or not. That's why I said
3-year, $90 million.
Yep.
So I'm just spitballing. 31 teams, 32 teams.
Okay.
53 guys on the active roster. That's a pretty low percentage.
Yeah.
2 out of a crap ton.
2 out of the last decade, their last century. Okay, now, question I have for you, because I knew this was going to come up because Tommy put together notes, and they're great notes. Tobin, would you sign Lamar Jackson if you were a GM of a football team? Pick whichever one you want to, the one that you think is most likely to sign a quarterback. Would you sign him if you were the Colts or the Commodes?
It's going to have to be the right situation. I mean, his talent, his skill set, and how he plays is amazingly dynamic on the field, but it also puts him at probably the most risk of any QB1 in the league.
Okay.
So I mean,
Tommy,
yes, if it's the right situation.
Okay, Tommy, would you sign him?
For the Commodes, right now, yes.
Okay, guaranteed?
Yes. 5-year, $200 million guaranteed.
So you're going to guarantee $40 million a year over 5 years.
Basically, I'm guaranteeing $200 million over the first 4 years of the contract. You know, the 5th year is going to get ripped up or get extended or whatever.
Okay. Now, what kind of contract would you give him, Tobin, if you were to sign him?
I mean, you're probably going to have to go 4 or 5 years. And I mean, it's a $40 million a year nut for the starting QB.
Would you do that?
I would do that, but it would not be fully guaranteed. It would probably be 65% guaranteed. You got to hedge your bet in there somewhere because, I mean, he's a running back playing quarterback.
Yeah,
So on Twitter, Lamar says he turned down 3 years, $133 million guaranteed from the Ravens.
he's a moron.
Stupid.
He's a moron.
I mean, I'm not a math major,
great
but
deal.
that's what, 42, 43, 44?
44.33 a year.
Hmm.
Or 43.67 a year, I'm sorry.
I'm available. I'll do it for half.
Yeah. See, I would sign Lamar Jackson to a contract that gave him a base salary of like $20 million a year guaranteed for 4 years. And then I would have incentives in there based upon games played, wins, passing yardage, that type of stuff to get him up to the $40 million mark. But I would not guarantee any of that extra because the man don't play enough.
I mean, that's basically double of the tag number for a starting running back in the NFL. I mean, it's about 10.1. Double that, and then throw incentives on it. Boom, Bob's your uncle.
Don't get me wrong. Lamar Jackson is a exceptional talent who brings so much baggage with him off the field that it might not be worth having him on the field because he's only there part-time.
Yeah.
Well, there's not really baggage he has off the field. I mean, it's just the problem that he does not have an agent.
That's the baggage that he brings. That, and the fact being that he has, his baggage. Okay, let me rephrase this. I said he has a crap ton of baggage. He doesn't. He has 4 or 5 bags that weigh a lot as they go through. Unlike some of the other people who are out there who have a crap ton of baggage that weighs a ton and will drag your team down. He won't, based upon the baggage. The biggest baggage he's got, no agent. If he had an agent, he would have already got the deal done with Baltimore last year.
So one of the things that they're talking about is that even if he's got a $150 million deal, and contractually, NFL agents are only allowed to charge between 1% and 3%.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike in other sports,
where they get 5 to 10%,
where they can get up to, I think 12% is like the highest, but 1% of 150 million is $1.5 million.
Yeah.
Lamar,
at that point, you can drop that. He can wipe his ass with that.
What he should do more than anything else is go out and hire an attorney to negotiate the contract with him and pay him an hourly wage with which to do so, $600 an hour, whatever it might be.
I don't know if he's smart enough to do it. That's his problem.
Yeah, that's his problem.
And that's the baggage.
Is they say well, we could do it ourselves.
You can, except for 5 or 6 details that need to have an agent who's got.
The key stat in all of this, Josh Allen got his contract 2 years ago. He's $41 million ahead of Lamar Jackson. Lamar's never going to get that money back.
Oh, no. And one of the reasons why he's not is how many games has Josh Allen missed?
Not many.
Couple, maybe
3, maybe.
Yeah. He's missed more games in his career than Lamar Jackson missed the last month of the season last year.
But Lamar Jackson's missed
more
5 games the past 2 years.
Lamar Jackson has
5 games each of the past 2 years.
Yeah, so it means he's missed 33% of the games roughly.
Right. So the other thing with the Ravens, they put the right of first refusal on Tyler Huntley, and they've re-signed Justice Hill. We're going to move on to Aaron Rodgers, who says he was 90% retired before he went into darkness. Then he emerged from darkness and wanted to be a Jet.
He saw the light. It was green. It said J-E-T, Jets.
It was a green light, apparently. Says he did not provide a ransom list, but did provide a list of players he likes to play with. And the Jets then signed Alan Lazard to a 4-year, $44 million. And today they signed Mecole Hardman Wednesday the 22nd.
Mm-hmm.
And they just traded Elijah Moore to the Browns along with their 3rd round selection for the Browns' 4th or 2nd round selection, which is right behind the Jets at 43. So now the Jets have 42 and 43.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that 42 and 43 are going to Green Bay for Aaron Rodgers.
I think that would be an exceptionally good trade for the Packers to be able to pull off and get, along with, I heard, 3rd next year that can become a 2nd based upon how far they make it in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think those 2 seconds for the Packers
sign off, get it over with,
are a monster haul for a guy who may play 1 year.
Yep. And, Aaron Rodgers, Jets could be a good match, but we'll have to wait and see what happens as they go forward and see what else is added. Of course, the big rumor is they're going to add OBJ sometime this week.
That's the other thing that's hanging out there.
It will be $9 million a year.
Yep, it'll be an incentive-laden deal, totally tied to games played, playoff appearance, touchdowns, all of that business.
Now, question: who has a better chance to make the playoffs next year, the Packers or the Jets? The Jets with Aaron Rodgers, the Packers with those 2 seconds. And they'll call it a 3rd next year.
Oh, definitely the Packers.
I said the Packers in that watered down division.
Definitely the Packers.
I don't disagree. I read an article earlier today.
It's not even the division; it's the conference.
Yeah, because who's the top quarterback in the NFC right now?
Do they have quarterbacks in the NFC right now?
Supposedly,
Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. Who's number 2? Wait.
Dak Prescott.
I'll wait, because you could put Kirk Cousins in there. You could put.
Oh yeah, I'm not putting Kirk Cousins before Dak Prescott.
He has better numbers.
I'm not putting Kirk Cousins before Dak Prescott.
Had better numbers.
You take him.
Derek Carr. I mean, that's how the divisions are so.
Actually, I might go C.J. Stroud. because he's getting drafted by the Panthers after today's workout.
If the Panthers draft him, yeah. I haven't heard about today's workout, but I heard they were highly enamored with Anthony Richardson following his workout.
I might go Jared Goff.
Goff.
With the weapons he's got around him in the line?
That might be, fantasy-wise, that might be the best player in the NFC next year.
I don't know how much Jared Goff runs, but I guarantee it's not as much as Jalen Hurts.
You're right, but Jared Goff.
But again, Hurts is going to be in that same boat that Lamar's in at some point. When you're running and you're taking those extra hits, it adds up.
But he's shown he can throw the ball.
No, I totally agree.
Hurts showed us this last year that he is a true NFL quarterback, whereas Lamar Jackson's a running back playing quarterback who can throw the ball sometimes.
The major difference with Philadelphia versus Baltimore, of course, is A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith.
Yeah.
I don't know of a Baltimore receiver that I would say I want ever over either of those guys. Definitely not over A.J. Brown.
Yep.
I can't disagree with you, Tom.
We'll move on to the 49ers getting richer. They signed Javon Hargraves away from the Eagles, 4 years, $84 million. They roll the dice on both Raiders bust, defensive end Cleveland Farrell, defensive tackle Cleveland Farrell, and former Jets quarterback Sam Darnold. I believe they were 3 and 4 in the draft class that year.
And they got him pretty cheap too.
That is 100% accurate. Cleveland Farrell was a huge raging reach by the Raiders at the third pick when he was projected to go no earlier than late first. He gets picked in the third round. And remember, we were setting Buffalo Wild Wings when that took place, and we talked about how much of, even if he's an all-pro player, he might be the best defensive lineman ever. That's still considered a reach and a bad draft pick by the Raiders.
Way too many good players that they could have picked there.
Not because he wasn't talented, because he got picked in the wrong location.
You guys act surprised. It's the freaking Raiders. Come on.
Don't disagree. And
the Cowboys traded for vets and signed Ronald Jones after cutting Zeke and restructuring several big contracts. They got Stephon Gilmore from the Colts for a 2023 fifth, and then got Brandon Cooks from the Texans for a 2023 fifth and 2024 sixth.
Mm-hmm.
Now the Texans went out. They've signed Bob Trees to a 2-year, $15.25 million deal, and then got former Cowboy Noah Brown. They extended Laramie Tunsil, who also allegedly doesn't have an agent, but he went on to thank St. Omni for helping negotiate his 3-year, $75 million deal.
St. Omni?
That's the guy.
Who's St. Omni?
He tried to negotiate for Roquan Smith last year when he was in Chicago, and then got his hand slapped by the NFL because he is not a licensed NFL agent. They also signed Case Keenum to possibly be the backup / mentor.
He's still around?
He is. Originally a Texan. Chase Winovich, Mike Boone from the Broncos, Sheldon Rankins, former Jet, Devin Singletary from the Bills, Dalton Schultz from the Cowboys, Denzel Perriman, former Raider, and then former 49ers, Hassan Ridgeway and Jimmy Ward, who are basically following DeMeco Ryans over. I'm telling you, I love what the Texans are doing.
Yeah, it's a lot of lipstick going on the pig to cover up their screw up of effing up the number 1 pick.
It certainly is. But I think they're going to end up getting Bryce Young anyways.
Yeah, Bryce Young will be the second pick in the draft if the Texans hold on to the pick, because either Anthony Richardson or C.J. Stroud's going number 1.
I think it's C.J. Stroud.
I haven't heard about today's workout.
I think after his pro day, he's locked it up. I mean, Richardson was a freak at the combine. Let's be honest.
We'll see what his workouts next week. His pro day is next week. You're going to get a lot of people that are going to get super excited about this guy. Now, he is a guy that I would say watch some of the teams like a Minnesota trying to move up. They get one more year of Kirk Cousins at a big $30-some million deal, and then they move on next year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Kirk Cousins will not be the quarterback for the Vikings next year at this time. So you're saying Davis Mills is going to be available, huh?
I assume he'll be available. I mean, he'll probably get traded during the draft, would be my guess.
Yeah, he'll pull back a 3rd rounder or a 5th rounder or something like that.
Come
for
on,
next
Tennessee,
year.
make a trade, give a 5th to Davis Mills, start him, call it good.
A 5th, something.
Yeah.
What seems like a very minor deal. He could be he could be great for Tennessee.
Mhm.
Now, my question is this: is how much is this just Texans having to spend salary cap, otherwise they get penalized by the league?
Well, one of the other things that I want to make sure we talk about here is a lot of these deals are 1-year deals.
Mhm.
So what's happening and what is the trend right now in the NFL is if you don't get the big money deal on day 1, 2, 3 of free agency,
Bet on yourself.
then you have overshot your market. And you're going to get a 1-year deal. And a lot of the deals that we're going to talk about in here are 1-year deals. But you're getting a 1-year deal basically kind of on a prove it / if you perform well, we'll re-sign you during the season type of thing.
The good old fashioned bet on yourself bet, like Flacco did. Like lots of players have done and got cashed out.
Yeah. I mean, it can work.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, the other thing, like a Dalton Schultz, I don't know why he didn't go somewhere else. I mean, there has to be something.
I mean, he's 26, highly productive tight end. Holy crap, there's got to be more of a market than that.
But there wasn't due to his injury issues that he had last year. And there's still some lingering injury
He
issues.
still put up better numbers than probably half the league's tight end group
I don't
collectively.
disagree. But
It's a deal up to $9 million, meaning it's not a $9 million. It's probably a $6 million plus incentives. The
Right.
Raiders should have done that deal.
But are you as a GM going to invest that type of money in somebody who has a questionable health history from this last year?
Yes, for the production that he had
At
last
that,
year.
at that thin
specifically.
position, probably yes.
Okay. I don't disagree. I would have laid an incentive laden deal out for him to be able to go get the money.
Oh yeah,
And going to Texans, going to be an interesting year next year, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean the Texans are in a let's just be honest. It's a crap division.
yeah. Where's my sounder for that? Well, it's Tommy's sounder, but it's multi-purpose.
The AFC South is probably the second weakest division in the NFL,
Yes,
only behind the NFC South.
yes,
Or the rest of the AFC West. Oh, sorry, did I say that out loud?
right. So moving on, we'll go to the Bears. They're spending money left and right. They've signed Tremaine Edwards away from the Bills, TJ Edwards away from the Eagles, Nate Davis,
Woohoo, he's gone.
and DeMarcus Walker. They're going out here trying to buy. You know, we talked about it. They traded
The first pick to
the number 1 pick to Carolina for the number 9. Next year's 1. 2 years from now is 2. A third this year, and DJ Moore.
Yep.
They are remaking this team, and in an Aaron Rodgers-less division.
Well, that division is going to be completely wide open for every team, but probably the Bears to win it at this point in time.
Yeah, I maybe.
And I think the Bears are just too young and don't have enough.
I think they're a year away. I mean, if
Oh,
the
yeah.
Fields
They don't have
experiment
enough
keeps
gelling.
trending, if the Fields experiment keeps trending, they're 2 years away.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to come up the curve as fast as Mahomes did in Kansas City once he got on the field and got
No.
that experience. I mean, he's just not that level.
Yeah, Mahomes was talented and in the right situation to learn from a true professional who taught him how to be an NFL quarterback.
Well, and he's in the right system, the right head coach that knows how to maximize it.
Exactly.
There's not very many of those out there.
And
Yep.
so I think this year they will figure out, is Justin Fields the future? Because if he can't get it done with the current roster they put around him, we'll go into some of the other fantasy pieces he picked up later, but they are making it so that, Justin, it's on you now, buddy.
Yeah, they're putting the pieces around him to be able to provide the weapons to find out whether he's got the arm talent or not to be an NFL quarterback.
That's right. Moving on to the Broncos, who got arguably the best tackle in Mike McGlinchey. Defensive tackle Zach Allen, who we had as one of our top 25 guys. Guard Ben Powers. They took Samaje Perine away from the Bengals, which I thought is very underrated, especially fantasy owners take note. Javonte Williams is not expected to be ready to start the season.
He has the DK Dobbins injury.
And then Jarrett Stidham, who started 2 games down the stretch, and they just announced today that Russell Wilson had knee surgery this offseason.
Mm-hmm. So you're telling me instead of going 5-12, they're going to go 6-11. Great, moving on.
Yeah,
Well,
they might get to 7-9.
you know,
Maybe.
I
I'm
think
going to take the under.
of all the free agent signings that the Broncos have had, the one that sticks out to me the most is Samaje Perine, because he is a thumper of a back.
Mhm.
He will hand the ball, he will thump you and go forward from there, which is what the AFC West typically has problems stopping as defenses.
Well, what's going to be interesting is to see if they finally fully change schemes and get away from the zone block scheme that Denver's had forever.
Oh, yeah.
Because Pirine is not a zone
No,
block kind of back.
there's going to be
It's the Saints. It's the Saints offense. It's coming to Denver. There and the whole Saints team, because Sean Payton is going to remake it. The guys in the trenches are going to be monsters, and that's who they've signed.
Yeah,
that's
it'll be
what they
interesting.
want.
I mean, Ben Powers, Wichita kid, go get him, Ben. That's great. Got him a nice deal.
Glad to see you got
Got him a
paid.
nice deal.
The Bengals, we just told you they lost to Samaje Perine. They signed Orlando Brown to a deal that was worse than what the Chiefs offered him last year
By a long shot.
by I think it was $25 million total value of the contract.
Yep.
And basically part of the deal is Orlando Brown Jr. is going to play left tackle, which made their left tackle Jonah Williams, they drafted 3 years ago, say, trade me.
I'm out of here.
And there's tons of interest in him.
Oh yeah, he is a top 12 to 15 tackle at this point in time.
They don't want to trade him to
Going
Kansas
up.
City, but Kansas City would be a great fit for him.
Not really, because you guys signed Brown's backup, who's a
Jawan
better
Taylor.
run blocker.
I'd take Taylor and put him on the right side, and he's already said he's willing to do it. He's
Yep.
not Orlando Brown, who's, I've got to play left tackle.
Well, the Bengals got better, but Orlando Brown cost himself money because he wanted to play left tackle. Nobody wanted to pay him to play left
It
tackle.
was like 5 years, 139 million or something is what they put out there last year.
Yeah.
It was
Why he didn't sign
huge
that one,
deal.
I don't understand.
Well, he's a dumbass is what it is.
Bad.
I don't know
bad
how you think
advice.
you're going to improve that.
Well, because he wanted to reset the market that Mike McGlinchey reset.
I don't want to set the market. I just want to get paid.
Right?
If somebody's making $2 million more than I do over the terms of 5 years,
Give him a high five.
If I'm
He
getting
can,
135
he can
million,
buy dinner.
who cares?
Right.
Again, it's one of those things. He overshot his market, and the NFL scouts in the NFL still see him as a right tackle, not as a left tackle.
That's because of this reason.
I mean, we paid
Why not?
Juwan Taylor more
Yes.
than Brown got out of the Bengals.
Right.
Yes.
Think about that.
Right. And that's what we got down here coming up. We'll skip over the Dolphins real quick. They went right to Jawan Taylor and Charles Omenihu, who came over from the 49ers. And I'll go down to my little notes down
Offensive
here.
line got better. Not a little bit better.
Offensive line got better. Defensive line got
Jawan-
better.
Jawan Taylor had a better pass blocking rating than what Orlando Brown did.
Yes.
And it was comparable for run blocking. Brown was better, but not by that much. And what did the Chiefs do really well? Did they run the ball really well?
Win games.
They passed the ball really well, right?
So Brown's deal was 464 and Jawan Taylor got 480.
I don't know. I'm not a math major, but that's 16 mil.
Had that
$4
market
million a year.
And what?
that market reset go?
60 million, 70 million below what he turned down last year, something like that.
That
I mean, it
market
was
reset go,
huge.
dude.
Now, one of the things that happened, I think just after we recorded
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, was the Dolphins traded their 2023 third, number 77, and Hunter Long to the Rams for Jalen Ramsey.
Ha ha, dummies.
And they've guaranteed, I don't know that they've increased his salary, but they've guaranteed the last 2 years of his contract.
Wow, what a dumb
A
move.
third and a tight end for the turd burglar. Good luck with that, Miami. On South Beach. I mean,
Yeah,
hello, Miami PD.
Let's put Ramsey in South Beach. The guy who can't cover anybody.
Well,
Guarantee a
I thought
contract.
the
More
Cowboys
salary
should have
cap
got
out.
him, put him opposite Diggs,
Well,
and it would have been a
I
freaking
would've-
just burnt
I would've-
toast all over Dallas.
would've
Call the
had-
burn unit.
I would have had a feast with that over the
A
next
Fiesto, huh?
9 months. I would have had a
Making
feast
shit up.
A man
dealing
of
with those
fiesta?
two. It would have been nothing but a fiasco for the Cowboys as I was trying to get those two words out in that order.
Word salad is hard. You're qualified to be vice president now. Congratulations.
Oh no, I'm still way too coherent for that.
He's awake. He's not
Way too
qualified.
coherent for that.
The Commanders took Andrew Wiley away from the Chiefs, which we need offensive line help like crazy. We signed Daron Payne to a new deal, clearing up a bunch of cap space, and signed Jacoby Brissett.
The consummate professional losing quarterback.
I mean, he fits the mold of what they've had. They've just gone for
Yeah,
serviceable guys that
Don't do anything, but Jacoby Brissett will go out there and be a very competent quarterback for you. He's not going to win anything for you. He's not going to lose anything for you, but he's not going to do anything special.
I really believe that it's one of those things where he is more a backup option. That we're going to see what happens with Sam Howell. And if we don't get Lamar, which I would love to get Lamar, but there's just nothing else out there that we would get that could make us better. Now, there are several key things that have happened with the Commanders. All the free agents we've signed, including Deron Payne, all of their bonuses are due by May 12th, which has led everybody to believe that this means the Dan is out. Now, in related news to Dan and Tanya Snyder, they cleaned out their offices and all of their belongings from all of the Redskins facilities in December and have been living in London.
I'm surprised it's not Greece where they don't have an extradition treaty. I only know that because that's where Tom Hanks moved to, and you conspiracy theorists put it together and figure out why he's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I read that article, I'm going, the league meetings are next week, or are they later this week? I can't remember which one it was. And I'm thinking
collusion meetings.
I think that Dan might have been told that
it's not going his way.
Oh, hell no. And now there's a billionaire from Canada who is supposedly bidding on the commodes, and that he might be able to come up with the $6 billion necessary with which to be able to get it.
Magic Johnson is in what's his last name? The guy who owns the 76ers.
I have no idea.
I can't remember his name, but he wanted into the Broncos, but he wanted a guarantee that it wasn't going to go over a certain price because he knew the Walmart people would just outbid him. And so he's in on the Commanders. And so we'll see what happens there. The New York Football Giants traded for Darren Waller and reworked his deal for cap space. They gave the Chiefs number 100 that they had given the Giants for Kadarius Toney.
God, that was a steal.
And they've cut Kenny Golladay. They've signed Rakeem Nunez-Roches, Bobby Okereke, Paris Campbell, and Darius Slayton. So they know they have to get better on defense, so they've signed tackling linebackers. They know they need more receiver help, so they signed Paris Campbell.
Does that really help?
I mean,
they found somebody who was willing to sign and be a Giant.
It's better than Galladay.
Let's call it what it is.
It's better than Galladay.
I mean, they're second fiddle in their own stadium anymore, and they're not used to that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the concerts come first, too, so aren't they number 3?
Well, probably, and the soccer team and whatever else they can book into that.
The NWSL.
I mean, hell, the grounds crew is probably higher rated.
That's true.
They also signed Sterling Shepard, who tore his ACL last year.
What kind of pictures does he have?
I don't know. He's got to be a favorite of one of the daughters.
I mean, yeah.
Either Rooney or Kate. I don't know. One of them has to be in love with Sterling Shepard.
Or he's got pictures of them in compromising positions so he gets paid?
I guess.
It was on the Hunter Biden laptop.
I mean, it's
probably.
It's only like, it's the league minimum, 1.12 million or whatever.
But he's still getting paid, which is amazing.
For, 4 games a year. That's a hell of a gig if you can get it.
That's right.
$250,000 a week for 4 weeks. Not bad.
Now, we talked a little bit about Detroit earlier and how we expect them to be better. They lost their key running back who led the league in touchdowns scored with 17 last year, Jamal Williams. He joined Derek Carr on the Saints.
That's a great sign for the Saints.
It is, but here's the problem. He wanted to stay in Detroit. And in season, he was offered a 3-year, $12 million contract, all of it guaranteed to stay in Detroit, according to what one news source said. His agent turned it down because he wanted him to be able to go shop the field. He got paid a 3-year, $9 million. It's roughly $3 to $4 million less than what he got. He would have got from the Lions. He wanted to stay at the Lions. So now the scuttlebutt is he's going to be suing his agent because his agent never came and told him about that offer.
Ouch.
But for me, I own Jamal Williams in our sleeper league, and I'm so happy I spent a 3rd-round draft pick trading for him because he's going to be a number 1 feature back in New Orleans, depending upon the outcome of Alvin Kamara.
No, he will be the feature back because Alvin Kamara is getting at minimum suspended.
Mm-hmm. So I'm very happy with that he ended up there because that gives me another number 1 running back in fantasy football.
Right.
And by the way, I own him in another league that I get to carry him. No, I traded him. Never mind.
Right.
Damn it.
Wah,
I wouldn't have traded him.
wah.
If only.
But I got Derrick Henry back.
So we talked a little bit about the Raiders. They got rid of Darren Waller. They picked up Jacoby Myers, Robert Spillane, Marcus Epps, O.J. Howard off the tight end scrap heap. But the most important one was Jimmy G.
Did you hear about what he was offered by as a perk to being in Vegas now?
Oh, there was something I didn't read. I didn't
He got
click on
offered
there.
a lifetime membership to the Hustler Club,
Hell yeah.
which is a $500,000 gift value-wise.
Oh, Jimmy G is going to make it rain in Vegas.
I think somebody made it rain on Jimmy G. $500K.
Well, I mean, when you got a 3-year, $67.5 million deal, $500K is
Interest for a day.
Make it rain.
now the Pats. After
Wait,
letting
now the stage. Cinnamon.
Destiny to the main stage.
Tiffany, please report. We need you in the bubble room, please.
Now the Pats let Jacoby Myers go and turned around and signed Juju Smith-Schuster for the exact same deal, 3 years, $33 million, that Jacoby Myers got from the Raiders.
That's a Bill Belichick going, screw you.
That's a Bill Belichick going, here's the contract we'll offer you, take it or leave it. He went, So they went and shopped it someplace else and Juju signed on.
You want this one? Here it is. I've already got it written up. I'll just scratch it, white out the name.
Right.
All you gotta
It
do
probably
just
is white
sign
out.
right here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now the Pats
Copy
also
and
picked
paste.
up Riley Reef, a tackle from originally from the Lions, then went to the Bears, and then extended Julius Peppers. I just saw that they re-signed Jalen Mills just a little bit ago too, after they had cut him. They've also had Donta Hightower and Devin McCourty retire this year. So the Patriots are going through a little bit of a change. They also traded Jonnu Smith, one of Doc's longtime favorites, to the Falcons for a 2023 seventh.
That sounds about right. They could have probably picked him up off the scrap heap when the Patriots cut him, because for the last 2 years, I remember 2 years ago we were raving about, you know what kind of offense the Patriots can put out there with Cam Newton and these two tight ends they signed? None of that materialized. None of it materialized due to the health issues of the tight ends and Cam Newton. It's going to be nice to be able to see him go back to Arthur Smith down in Atlanta and rejuvenate his career.
Yep. Now, the Falcons have also signed Jesse Bates, former Bengal, David Onyemata, Taylor Heineke, Caden Ellis, and re-signed Chris Winstrom, which a lot of people are saying may be the best guard in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I know that we've said Atlanta could be a destination for Lamar, but man, that's literally the last thing that these guys need is a stud quarterback.
They sign Lamar, they become the odds-on favorite to win the NFC South.
Oh,
as if they're not already.
100%.
As if they're not already.
Now,
For however long they can keep him on the field.
right.
Yep.
Now, NFC champion Eagles re-signed Darius Slay after there was talk of maybe a cut or a trade. They re-signed James Bradbury, who's going to hold on to his job there. See what I did? Fletcher Cox, Boston Scott,
Wow.
thank you, and Brandon Graham.
How's your arm?
Oh,
Is your arm okay?
and add Greedy Williams, who I think is a great slot corner, and Rashad Penny. Doc, talk to me about Rashad Penny.
Isn't he your all-time favorite back?
No, he's not my all-time favorite.
Didn't you trade me a first in the last year's draft
Yeah,
for
I
Rashad
did.
Penny? How'd that work out for you?
Wow.
Like a fistful of buttholes.
So you think him going to there is going to be better?
Yes, I think it could be better.
Okay, how could it
So
be
you're
better?
saying there's a chance.
Oh, if he stays healthy, right?
If he stays healthy.
And how big is that if?
Oh, it's big.
As big as the trade centers used to be, or bigger?
Way bigger.
Okay. Granted, Rashad Penny is a talented person, but he has the unavailability trait.
He does. And last year, it was a broken leg. So we'll see. I mean, he's on a $1.4 million deal or something like that.
Who are the Eagles going to get with the 10th pick in the draft?
I would say right now it's down to whoever's there between Paris Johnson or Peter Skoronsky. That would be my first guess. If neither of them are available, Christian Gonzalez, cornerback out of Oregon.
Jalen Carter, defensive line, Georgia.
Yeah, who's falling?
Warren Sapp-esque.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be there with the 10th pick. The Eagles going to go,
Thank you very much.
we appreciate the Super Bowl win and appearances for the next 2 years.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for that.
Don't think he'll be there. I think he'll get drafted before then.
Who?
The Lions, the Seahawks,
Somebody trading up over the Eagles.
the
They're gonna have to,
Raiders.
but if he's there with the 10th pick, which I saw 2 mock drafts over the weekend that had him there and had him getting picked to the Eagles, I went, just give
they'll
them
take him.
another ring.
Oh, they'll take him.
Just put that ring on their hand. Might as well fit them all for it now because it's going to be there for the NFC next year if that happens.
Yep. If they get Jalen Carter, and then they've already got last year's darling. What was his name? Totally spacing on
The
it.
wall that
Jordan
moves.
Davis.
Yeah.
They put those two back together. I mean, they tore it up at Georgia, and everybody when you watch tape of Jordan Davis, you said, "Who's this guy next to him?"
Mm-hmm.
It's like, "Oh, that's Jalen Carter. He can't come out until next year."
Damn it.
Put those two together and you're talking one.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally, at that point in time, all the stuff they did in the defensive secondary to make it better doesn't really matter because the quarterback's going to be running for his life anyway.
Right. And God forbid either of those two guys catch you.
Yeah, because it's going to hurt.
It's going to hurt a lot. Now we move down to Tampa Bay. They re-signed Jamel Dean, who is going to be the best cornerback available.
James Dean? What? Who?
Let's like that. Jimmy Dean. Levante David.
Ooh, sausage.
Jinx you with Coke.
And Baker Mayfield.
Why not?
A 1-year, $4 million deal
It's a hell of a starting
For a
vet
first-round draft pick.
for a
Number one overall.
Number one overall.
who says, I'm not Tom Brady,
It's like going to the
I'll
dollar
take
store for QBs. I mean, literally.
and finding out that there's one there that might have a little bit of defect, but let's find out what happens with it and see what it's only $4. Let's go with it and see what happens.
Now, the good news for Baker Mayfield is they got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody to block for him.
Right.
Something he's used to, by the way.
Right.
Well, he better sign a
what
life
happened in Cleveland.
Better sign a life insurance endorsement deal.
You better be signing with Century Life rather than Home Depot for those endorsement deals.
They released playoff Lenny, Cameron Brate, and then they signed Chase Edmonds.
Gotta have some speed. Not
Okay.
a great pick, but better than playoff Lenny and his fat butt.
That was working. What's the cheapest running back? It's like when you're doing your daily fantasy and it's like, all right, what's the cheapest person I can slot in here? And that's exactly how they did that.
You go get the ones you want, and you go.
Uh-huh. Okay,
Well,
I've got
I've
to
got
find
these-
a warm body here
I've
now.
got these 5
Right.
people I can choose from.
You have a pulse and you only cost this.
If
I like this matchup. I think I'll choose him.
If I want Pat or Josh Allen in here, I got to go cheap somewhere.
Right.
I got to take Rashad Penny as my running back.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
They also traded Shaq Mason to the Texans for a 7th and got back a 6th. They traded him and a 7th and got back a 6th.
How would you like to be that dude? Yeah, we're going to give you away and we're going to actually overpay to get rid of you, basically.
Well, it was there because he was brought in for Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we talked about this ad nauseum. Somehow, now the Bucks are still over the cap. They got under the cap until they started re-signing their guys. But they are one of 3 teams that are currently over the cap.
Mm-hmm.
And they are 3.8 million over the cap.
Gonna be tough signing. Gonna be tough signing draft picks, isn't it?
That's absolutely
We have to trade our
ridiculous.
first pick around because we can't afford the signing. Can
Right.
you give us a next year's 2nd and 5th?
Right.
We'll
Give
give you a
us
6th
anything.
and a 7th for it.
Just give us anything. The Steelers not doing a lot. They re-signed Larry Ogunjobi and then also signed Patrick Peterson.
After losing Mika Fitzpatrick?
No.
Who was the cornerback that went to the Lions?
Oh, got it.
Brain went dead. It was happened right after we got the air 2 weeks ago, where the Lions are actually putting together a defense and doing
Yeah,
a pretty
no.
good job putting it together.
Speaking of the Lions, they also signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson to a 1-year deal. Again, he overshot his market. This is the big thing that's happening in the NFL. If you don't get signed in the first couple of days, you're on 1-year prove-its. He came out and said he thinks the Lions are more talented than the Eagles.
He's, was he in the dark room with the herb and A-Raj?
I would say offensively, yes. Defensively, no.
He's smoking crack naked, bro.
Okay, hold on. Let's compare offensive lines, the Eagles versus the Lions. Very,
Eagles.
very comparable. A- to an A.
I'll take the Eagles.
Okay, wide receiver cores.
Definitely the Eagles.
I'll definitely take the Eagles.
Wait till you see Jameson Williams this year.
He ain't better than AJ Brown or Devonta Smith.
He's as good as Devonta Smith is right now.
Right now,
No.
I disagree.
Now AJ Brown's a different story. Running backs,
Oh, definitely the Lions.
quarterback.
Definitely the Eagles.
Mhm.
Yeah, but Jeff Goff is in the conversation for the second to third best quarterback.
I mean,
the
he's
NFC.
he's serviceable, but he's no Hurts.
Maybe.
Okay.
We'll see.
I think the Lions are probably the second most talented team in the NFC.
Behind
pure talent.
who's number one in your
Behind
mind?
the Eagles, but I think it's closer than what we think it is.
Where's the 49ers and all that?
49ers number 3.
Whoa.
They got to have a quarterback. They've got to get a quarterback who can play, and they haven't got one right now who's going to be
They're
there.
better without a quarterback, I think, than the Lions.
Yeah, I can't agree more with that statement. Sam Darnold is good enough to get the 49ers to the NFC Championship.
How many games
game.
he played last year?
I don't know. 8.
5
No idea.
before he got hurt, along with all the other quarterbacks for the 49ers.
They got to get to about week 7 or 8 for Brock Purdy.
They get if the 49ers get a quarterback, Purdy, Trey Lance, Darnold, who can play average football and stay healthy, which I think that Purdy will once he's healthy. I think Purdy is probably a slightly above average quarterback, maybe moderately above average, maybe a B- quarterback. If they do that, the 49ers jump over the Lions, become the number 2 most talented team in the NFC. Who would you rather have, the 49ers offensive line or the Lions offensive line?
The 49ers,
I'll
because
take
it's
the
Kyle
Lions.
Shanahan's system.
I'll take the Lions because they're more
The
talented.
coaching makes a difference.
Wide receivers.
Definitely the 49ers.
Running backs.
Definitely the 49ers.
McCaffrey when he's healthy. I don't disagree. I think the wide receivers are comparable. And it might be the fact being that I have Jameson Williams rated so highly.
If you have Jameson Williams rated over Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel,
Definitely over Brandon Ayuk.
If Jameson Williams wasn't on your fantasy
I
team,
still say the same
would
thing.
you be on his jock as hard as you are?
I still say the same thing.
I agree with Tommy.
no chance.
Am I high?
Yes.
Are you high?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to ask, you are.
God, I wish.
So we'll move on to some fantasy significant signings. The Patriots, we talked about Juju earlier. They also signed Mike Gesicki and James Robinson. Now, they lost Damian Harris to the Bills, which is further down the list here. So they needed another backup type running back. You're going to find out how good James Robinson really is, because he'll be used. I guarantee it, in New England. And then you're also
that's what you
Yeah,
said
but
last year.
it's just a matter of which of the 5-game cycle he actually gets used in.
That's what you said about him last year, and he didn't do anything.
well, he also got traded away from Jacksonville.
Which you said was going to be a better situation for him to be in than Jacksonville, and it turned out not to be. If I remember correctly.
After Brees Hall got hurt, yeah, I thought it would be a much better situation. They never played him.
Okay.
I don't think he picked up the system from what I was hearing.
I don't think James Robinson is a running back that you would invest a fantasy draft pick on that's not at least double digits
no.
past 12.
Definitely not. I definitely would not be
I mean,
signing him up.
yeah.
You
No,
definitely would or wouldn't.
I would not. He is strictly waiver wire.
Okay. I don't disagree with that.
Injuries set in, limited resources. Yeah.
The Dolphins re-signed all of their running backs, Jeff Wilson, Raheem Mostert, Myles Gaskin, Savon Ahmed, and added Braxton Berrios from the Jets, another one of the odd man out for the Jets. Eric Saubert, who actually is a good blocking tight end, late to the Broncos. And then for a backup quarterback for when Tua eventually gets concussed, they got Mike White.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one thing that we haven't talked about here, they did exercise Tua's fifth-year option.
They had no choice.
And I feel that is the bonus payment they're going to give him when he gets concussed out of the league.
I can buy that.
Thank you for all that you did. We're sorry that you
There's 27.6 million. Thank you very much.
that you cannot come to the Sunshine State because the sun makes your head hurt. Moving over to the Panthers, they signed a bunch of second-tier fantasy players.
Mhm.
Miles Sanders, Adam Thielen.
Hold on, Miles Sanders was not a second-tier fantasy player last year.
Was he top 10? I
Mm,
thought he was 11 or 12.
still pretty good for 11 or 12 running as a number 2 running back. Isn't bad considering where his average draft position was like
For his average draft position, he was a
11.4
steal.
or 9.8 or something like that.
Yeah, he was a steal for where you drafted him, but I don't think he's an uber talented player. Obviously, his history hasn't shown that. And last year, he benefited from the fact that all of a sudden he explodes from the hole instead of Jalen Hurts. And then they also signed Hayden Hurst. Now they signed Andy Dalton to be a backup there and to mentor whoever they draft. Right now, it seems like it's CJ Stroud.
Yeah, they watched what the Chiefs did with Alex Smith.
Yeah, I can't believe that somebody else didn't sign Hayden Hurst.
See, what I understand is why doesn't a team go sign Alex Smith to be their quarterback coach?
Probably because he doesn't want to work that hard.
Could be.
If he doesn't want to, that's great. But if he's available, why doesn't the team go sign him as a quarterback coach just to mentor these kids as they come along?
I thought Kansas City might actually do that, but they stayed within.
I thought the Redskins would.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That'd make too much sense. We got to get new ownership in there before you're going to see any common sense in that program.
100%.
Even then, I mean, it's in D.C. Common sense is not needed
No.
or allowed in that city.
Right.
Not
So,
within 100 miles.
Frowned upon.
So
We talked about some of the other signings the Bears had earlier. They signed Donta Foreman to be their lead running back, losing David Montgomery. They signed P.J. Walker to be their backup, and Robert Tonyan away from the Packers.
Addition by subtraction from the Packers.
that's and
it's a
the
very
P.J.
serviceable-
Walker signing's intriguing because I mean now you have somebody who can still run almost the same system as Fields if he does get nicked.
Yeah,
Right.
And it's three solid players
Mm-hmm.
who bring intangibles that are plus to your team as well.
Yeah.
They bring that little bit of leadership factor and that locker room presence with them as well.
Good fit.
And we just said David Montgomery. He actually went to the Lions to replace Jamal Williams. Now, I think
he
this
signed
is
before Jamal Williams signed with the Saints. He signed the exact same contract Jamal Williams was offered but turned down supposedly.
so the thing that I love about this, Jamal Williams, one of the reasons he didn't stick in Green Bay was because he's not as good a receiver as Aaron Jones.
Mhm.
He's more of a thumper, and he's not even as good a receiver as A.J. Dillon. David Montgomery is a very good receiver
Mm-hmm.
out of the backfield.
If he can stay healthy.
And so they've got two guys in DeAndre Swift and David Montgomery who are very productive when they're healthy.
If they're healthy.
Now, one of the things that I still like about DeAndre Swift, who, full disclosure, I have him in our Dynasty League. One of the things I like about him is Deuce Staley left the Lions for Carolina. And Deuce Staley had a problem with DeAndre Swift. He didn't like his preparation. He didn't like how he ran because he didn't run like Deuce Staley. So I'm interested to see what will happen this year with DeAndre Swift and David Montgomery for the Lions.
Are either one of those top five are either one of those two running backs top 5 round draft picks in fantasy
Oh,
football?
100% DeAndre Swift is. He's too talented.
Even though he missed over half the games this last year.
He only missed 5 weeks.
But he missed he might have been in 3 out of the games, but he got injured and didn't play the rest of the games.
I don't remember him not playing the rest of games this past year. He did last year. He got injured on Thanksgiving in the first quarter, but I don't remember him leaving a game this past year.
I do because I had Jamal Williams. There was a game where he ran the ball down to like the 2-yard line and hurt his hamstring, was out for the rest of that game and 2 other games.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I don't remember.
David Montgomery, draft position, does this affect it or up or down?
I'd say
Or is it lateral?
it's probably down compared to if he had stayed in Chicago.
Yeah, it's more of a split. He's probably the second option.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I don't know if I'd touch either one of those two above 6 or 7, just because the injury factor and the not knowing what's going to happen with him.
You'll never get DeAndre Swift after the 5th round.
I guess I'll never have him then.
Yeah. Marcus Mariota signed to be the backup in Philly, which is crazy to me because, again, we talk about scheme fit. He's a lesser talented Jalen Hurts and bigger. Gardner Minshew moved on to Indianapolis. They also signed Matt Gay away from the Rams and Isaiah McKenzie, who the Bills cut. Isaiah McKenzie, we talked about Paris Campbell earlier. He's a better Paris Campbell.
Yes, he is.
Why? I'm not sure why the Giants didn't sign Isaiah McKenzie.
I'm not sure why the Giants didn't sign half their wide receivers that are up here.
Right.
Because they spent the money on Sterling Shepard. Come on, we already talked about this.
They need to get spaghetti of wide receivers, throw it against the wall, and hope 2 of them stick.
So Mac Hollins, later the Raiders, went to the Falcons. They have to have the tallest receiving core in the league.
Yeah, they're gonna look good on the basketball court if nothing else.
Definitely, because I think Hollins is 6'4", London's 6'5", Pitts is 6'6". I mean, they're just all monsters. Now, one other thing I thought was really interesting: Alexander Mattison has signed back with the Vikings.
Yes, he'll be the feature back this next year.
He's gonna be RB1. Yep.
This is a big tell for me on Dalvin Cook's future with the Vikings.
He's done there as soon as they can get anybody a warm body that can replace him. They're going to cut him and move on.
I'll give you some nachos and a 2026 7th rounder. Done.
I mean,
I want jalapenos too.
You got it.
Okay.
I really think it is going to be somebody misses out on a running back they want in the draft, and they get a 3rd or a 4th for Dalvin Cook.
Or 7th.
I think 4th or 5th is probably as high as I would even consider with his fragile shoulder situation.
Not because he's not talented, because he's injured in the fragility situation with him.
Yeah, he's long in the tooth in the running back world.
27.
I mean, a lot of people are saying that he may end up in Buffalo
with his brother.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I read an article about the running back movement last night. Is all pending basically one thing to take place. And that's for the Derrick Henry logjam to be broken, whether he's going to be traded or Tennessee's going to keep him.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee wants to keep him, but if they get overwhelmed with an offer, he's gone.
So we talked about Damian Harris going to the Bills right now. He thinks it's a great spot for him, which it may be.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Dearness Johnson, late of Cleveland, went to the Jags. Now, we kind of called for Dearness Johnson to ace out Kareem Hunt last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of thought he would sign a really team-friendly deal. One of the things that they talk about with Dearness Johnson is he is a running back only.
Mm-hmm.
He has no value in the pass game or anything like that. But we just said Kareem Hunt. There's another guy that's out there who led the league in rushing in his rookie season.
And he can also be your backup kicker.
Can't get the job.
No, he shanks everything right.
That's what she said.
So let's kind of go around here. Let's talk about who we think were top 3 winners and losers are so far in free agency. My number 1, I went with the Bears. They reworked their offense and defense in what is about to be a Rodgers-less division. My number 2 was the Dolphins. They added key pieces on D and kept basically all of their offensive players that they wanted. And then the Broncos, because they're adding pieces that will be there probably even after Russ.
Okay. To me, the team that won free agency at this point in time is the Bengals. They added a left tackle who made their team better. They're going to be able to trade a left tackle away for a draft pick, probably a 2nd round, maybe even a late 1st, depending upon where it's at. Their salary cap situation is okay, but not great. Therefore, they're going to be able to upgrade the offensive line, get draft capital back, and they're going to be able to give Burrow a deal much like what the Chiefs gave Mahomes 4 years ago. And if once they get Burrow signed and get the left tackle traded away, they win it because they put themselves in a position to be able to go out and get the pieces they need to finish the Bengals. Now, the thing I don't like about the Bengals, what they haven't done, they didn't re-sign Samaje Perine, and the Joe Mixon situation is still up in the air.
Right.
Well, there's two situations there: his legal situation and his fragility.
Mm-hmm. And one article that I read, not an article, one of the things that I saw that was posted on the Bengals waiver wire Facebook page was they've had the running back from Texas in for a visit, supposedly.
Oh, Bijan Robinson?
You add Bijan Robinson to that team?
Yeah. Joe Mixon's definitely cut if they draft Bijan Robinson or
And
traded.
that was what this guy was
he's gotta
talking
be
about.
cut. Nobody's going to give you.
They were going to take the left tackle and their first-round draft pick and move into position to get Bijan Robinson and solve the running back position at that point in time. They do that, the Bengals win the offseason, no doubt about it. Secondly, the Dolphins, until they solve the Tua situation and have a quarterback who can back up and win games, because I don't think Mike White can lead them to the promised land of the playoffs. I don't think they didn't really upgrade the running back situation.
No, but they kept it the same. They were very competitive with the running backs that they have.
The Broncos, they're probably number 2 right now from what they were able to do. Getting Peyton was probably the best move they could have made to move themselves forward in the postseason.
Absolutely.
And the other team that we're not talking about that I have as honorable mention, God, this is going to hurt. Chiefs.
Mm-hmm. It's still early. There's still a couple pieces to fall, probably.
But once again, Veach has put themselves in a position to upgrade a situation at left tackle and didn't cost them any draft capital.
And they're loaded. I think we have 13 picks right now.
And because he's done that and getting Jawan Taylor, who I was very much hoping Tennessee would go after as a left tackle for us.
They probably did, but this is what we've talked about for
who would you rather play for,
month.
the Chiefs or the Titans? I'd take the Chiefs too.
Who's more likely to get a ring?
Chiefs. And because Veach has been able to do that, cut Frank Clark, the salary cap situation in Kansas City is not a problem.
Yeah, I think we're at 14 now.
I think that they
13 and a half, 14.
They are in the top 3 for the free agency period at this point in time. And what he does in the draft is going to be really amazing to see what happens.
$7 million after draft picks.
Yeah, I think I saw something yesterday that we were at almost 14 before the draft picks.
And the other honorable mention, the Cowboys have done everything they need to upgrade that team to make a serious run at the Philadelphia team, depending upon how well Dak plays.
Yeah. I still think Veach has got one more move. I think it wouldn't surprise me to see a Beckham there. It wouldn't surprise me to see him pile up a couple of his picks and make a trade with Arizona for D-Hop.
It would not surprise me at all to see them, because the big rumor on the Tennessee page is Derrick Henry's going to Kansas City.
Just go ahead and fit him. Just go ahead and, what size rings do you guys want?
For a second this year and a third next year, movable to a second next year based upon performance for Henry.
Jesus.
And if they do that, which they can afford to take that $9 million salary cap hit by getting Henry and really not cost them any draft capital.
Yeah.
They win the free agency period, and you might as well fit him for another ring and start designing the damn thing now.
Oh yeah.
I've got some ideas.
100%.
Because how are you going to stop him?
No, you're not.
Now,
You're not going to be able to consistently stop Pat and King Henry.
Exactly.
You're going to have to pick your poison.
And which one do you want to get rammed down your throat?
If I'm a defensive back, please throw at me all day long, because I don't want to see Henry coming out of the backfield.
Oh no. Once November hits, business decisions are being made.
And their 3rd and 1 problem is immediately solved.
Yeah. You put
And we're not going to have to do the soon to be outlawed Philly
Yeah. And so
pushy.
And so there, in my opinion, there isn't really a clear winner of the free agency period, because
not yet,
because we still have to wait for the next 2 weeks and then the draft pick.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see the draft picks, people trading for draft picks now based upon their board and where they think it's going to fall.
Mm-hmm.
But
we're
you've
only
got
4
to
weeks
look
away
at
from
what they've done so far and say who has done the most to improve their team so far. And these are the ones that I like, because all of these teams all had needs.
Yeah.
You know,
and the Texans here, great. Texans have done a phenomenal job of filling their needs. And they've obviously made the decision they're going to go with the quarterback out of Alabama, and that Davis Mills is going to be let go and moved on from what they've been doing. And if they do that, more power to them. I hope it works out for them.
So on the loser side, I put the Eagles at 1. They've lost lots of key players, and they haven't extended Hurts yet. I really thought that the whole reason for letting a lot of these guys walk was to go ahead and get Jalen's deal done. Because remember, he was a second rounder, so he's in the final year of his contract.
Correct.
Number two, the Jets. I just don't see how Rodgers makes this big of a difference at this point in his career. And they're putting a lot of eggs in that basket. And their schedule is brutal.
Yes.
Brutal. And then the Ravens. They have to hold $32.4 million for Lamar and aren't able to make as much moves in free agency they want. Now, basically,
why you saw Ben Powers get out of there.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Basically, they say that they need to keep $25 million because the ability to maneuver $7 million is like 3 moves and it's over.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing. But that's really impacting what the Ravens are able to do.
Yep. They're held hostage by the guy without an agent.
Yeah, and but they also held themselves hostage by putting the tag on them that they did. And all three of us 2 weeks ago said, he's going to be here a while, folks. We all three said that he was not going to sign with any team quickly, and he would be impacting the free agency market for quarterbacks and the draft picks at that point in time. And now it's the point in time for that. He's got to poop or get out the pot.
Right.
Well, there's only a couple spots to land at this point.
Indianapolis, Atlanta. One article that I did read was not the Ravens, but the Vikings are supposedly in the mix, wanting to get Lamar for 2 years now when they let Kurt go.
That's a whole scheme change you're going to have to institute there too, though. That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, but I'd
don't
do
know.
it in a heartbeat.
I think they can figure it out.
Yep, yeah. I'd do it in a heartbeat. And the team that I think is, you have the Eagles here, and I can see I can see what the Eagles have done because they've got their salary cap situation under control again by letting some of these players walk and that type of stuff. And they're going to get compensation picks next year for it. Therefore, setting up to be able to get Jalen Hurts the contract he needs for the next 10 years to be an Eagle. And let's be real, the Eagles are still the most talented team in the NFC.
I think so.
Probably one of the top 5 most talented teams in all of football. And with the 10th pick and the 18th pick?
No, 10th and 30th.
They're going to be able to fill 2 huge needs at that point in time. The Jets, I don't have a clue what the hell they're doing. Who's the starting quarterback?
They're getting ready to put themselves in the Bucks purgatory that we're seeing them in now if they pull the trigger on this Rodgers deal.
Yes.
The problem, the one thing I don't think they're going to, because the guaranteed money that's in the contract, unless they re-guarantee money, which suppose they're going to do for 2 more years, they can get him without any guaranteed money at that point.
Yeah, but it's the hit list of what he wants to come along with him, which is exactly what Brady did to the Bucks.
Exactly what LeBron does everywhere he goes and leaves the team in disarray.
Yep.
So I'm sitting here looking at the Jets going, you have everything that you need except for a competent NFL quarterback. And I think Zach Wilson can still be a competent NFL quarterback if he's in the right situation and has the right mentor in front of him. Alex Smith.
Yeah, maybe.
Not to play, but to be the quarterback coach or just bring him in as a mentor.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
Putting Aaron Rodgers in that mix is going to do nothing but the Jets worse, I think. So I agree with you that they're there. The Ravens, they're just in the hucklebuck waiting to see what happens at this point in time. You forgot to put the Titans on this list. Is the worst.
Well, but they're kind of in the same boat that we're talking about. They're trying to gut cap space from bad contracts they've written. And really, we won't know, like you said, until whatever happens with King Henry.
Yeah. And Tennessee's done a good job of adding. They've added a starting left tackle from Philadelphia, who was a first-round draft pick 2 years ago.
Who can't get on the field.
Who got injured, and then the rugby player,
Jordan Mailata,
came in and is an all-pro left tackle. All-pro caliber left tackle. We got him for basically nothing. We picked up 2 other offensive linemen. We've done a good job of filling those gaps with B and C grade free agency, see how they develop. But we're still in the situation with Ryan Tannehill, King Henry, and now that pissed off Kevin Byard for some reason.
Well, yeah, they want him to take a restructure. They want him to restructure his deal, and he's restructured his deal
3 times in 3 years.
Yeah,
pay the man, get it over with. He's one of the. If you think of the Mount Rushmore of defensive players in Tennessee, Kevin Byard's on that picture.
Yes,
he's in that 4. Why are you pissing him off for?
Yeah. So the top 3 fantasy moves so far, I think, are Jimmy G, because you have to get a decent quarterback or you're going to waste Devontae Adams, last couple of good years. Darren Waller to the Giants. One, I think it's a big plus for the Raiders to get rid of an oft-injured guy.
Hell yes.
He's immediately the best receiver on the Giants.
I'm glad to see you finally came around and realized that he sucks.
I mean, it's annoying. He's annoying, but I mean, like 2 years ago, he was unbelievable.
He was above average.
He was, okay.
But then he missed about 4 games.
And the number 3 is Samaje Perine.
I agree.
This guy, he's going to start for the Broncos.
Yeah. I will take him before I take Devonta Smith. Oh, excuse me, Devonta Swift, the running back out of the Lions.
DeAndre Swift.
I will take him before I take the running back from the Lions.
That, to me, is crazy, but you knock yourself out. On our list of top 25 NFL free agents we put together, Lamar Jackson's the only one that's not signed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that means Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley haven't signed, but they're also tagged.
But they're locked up.
Yep. And really then we keep going down to the thing that's going through with the draft. Everybody, like we said, except for the Eagles, who are 3.6 million over the cap now, the Bucks 3.8 million, and the Vikings 5.1 million are under the cap.
And those are all manageable to get underneath. And isn't the draft 4 weeks from tomorrow?
Let's see. It's the 28th, 27th, 28th,
so
29th.
5 weeks from tomorrow.
Yeah.
Are we going to go to Kansas City and watch part of it?
We could.
I know that I can't, but you guys might be able to.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. Sounds
Unless we come back that Thursday night late.
Sounds like a little brain damage to me, but
It sounds like we got to get together. And you know where we really ought to go for the draft?
this could be dangerous. I need to have the beep button ready.
Yes.
Tony Gwynn's.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, let me get right on that.
That would be nice. Unfortunately, it's half the country away.
Yeah. But, if we're going to travel someplace, let's go to Tony Gwynn's and watch it there.
That would be fun.
Yeah. All right.
Let's see what you can do for us, Tobin, okay?
All right. I'll see what I can hook up.
All right. Well,
I'll spring for the first $50 in food. You guys get the airplane ticket.
hard pass. All right.
Can
That's
we use
going
the
to do
little...
it for us. We'll be back next week. Hopefully by then Lamar will be signed.
Nah.
Doubt it.
Hopefully he'll figure out he needs an agent.
Hopefully that or hire an attorney to negotiate it for him.
There you go.
One of the two.
All right. Peace out.